All right, guys, welcome back. So in the previous video, we discussed the group by clause, and we have seen how we can group the records together based on the common properties, which is obviously based on the attributes that have been defined within that records, and based on that we can identify the duplicate records, right? In this video, I'm just gonna show you a unique characteristic which you can use of the SQL to do some complex analysis, right? And it has two names. Once we called it the subquery, and on the other side we called it common table expression. Both give you the similar functionality, and both are very powerful concept. You're gonna see the similarity in a moment, right? So how we write down the subqueries? So obviously, as the name shows, or the nested queries, that the subquery is more like, a query within a query, right? So many times we have to put some filter, and then on top of that filter, we need to we need to add some additional criteria, or just to form the output in a way that it can be absorbed by the target system, right? So instead of writing this query in multiple steps and getting the data outcome and store it somewhere and then process it again with another statement, subquery really come in handy, where you don't need to do all this additional effort. So what you normally do, you write your query, you split your query step by step, right? So first you write down the very first step where you want to generate the outcome. So for example, if I have a scenario where I want to count the record, and I want to skip all the countries which are starting with the letter A. Just assume the scenario, right? So let's first see. Let's let's see if I can. Yeah. All right, we have the 1,000 record. Let me see what I can do. Let's see how many records we have by ages, right? Let's generate an interesting scenario in here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to check my data by age. And this time I'm doing one more thing. I'm doing it by ascending order. I want to see what's the minimum age I got, right? And by default, if you don't mention the sorting order, the order will remain as the order will remain as ascending instead of descending, right? So that's the expectation. All right, let's run this query. All right, we are starting from the age of 18, which is fine. Yeah. And you can see at each age we are getting the total number of records where we have, right? And 16, 19, 20. Let's see what's the maximum we are getting. So we are getting up to 80, which is fine, right? So for somehow, I got the condition that we only need to analyze the customer where the age is not more than 75, right? So for example, that's the condition, like that's the retirement age, and after that we are not looking for those customers which are over 75. For somehow it's the requirement, right? Or with the business rule. All right, so in that case, let's come back to our actual scenario. What I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna do the same thing, like the total count by the country, but this time I need to filter those records where age is not equal to 75, right? So now if I run it, let's see. I'm still going to get 243 because I'm not filtering any country. In this case, I'm only filtering the records, right? But now I want to see how many total records we are counting in here, right? So there are two methods. Generally in the programming, what we do, we normally nest our function. So let me just show you. How about if I just do, like this? Because I've already counted it, but now I need to generate the total or the sum of all these counts, right? Based on the country. However, once I run it, it's going to show me, yeah, you cannot nest the aggregation function. Like you cannot apply the sum function on top of the count function. All right, which is a limitation. Now, I have two choices. I can store it somewhere in the variable, this data set, or then process that variable. But with the nesting, I got the opportunity to do everything into one query. And that's where the nested query comes into to the picture. What I'm gonna do, my inner query is ready. I'm already getting the records where the customer age is sorry, less than, instead of not equal, less than 75, or let me do less than equal to 75, right? I've already built that query. I'm getting a nice data set, which is oh, sorry. Oh, that's the yeah, all good. How about now? Yeah, it's all running. Yeah, I can see the numbers. Now I just need to get the total of these, the count, right? So the next step, I'm going to actually put the very first step in order to write the nested query. You need to put them in the curly braces, right? Or sorry, the small brackets. Once you put them, you need to tag it with some label. We generally call it in our programming the variable. In here, we call it tag because that tag is gonna use in the outer query to identify this record set, right? It's similar like alias or the table name you can see, but you are artificially creating a table name for the internal data set. All right, so we have called it X, and then now that is our table which is ready, and but internally it is executing a completely separate query to generate the result of this table, right? The artificial table which we have created. Now we can write down all our SQL statement, especially from the selection perspective or projection perspective, like we normally do with the simple select statement. So let me first write down the from. So because from is generally linked with the table where we are getting our result, and then our select. So select is going to be, okay, what we're gonna do, we're gonna sum of the total. And how would I know? And I would say total customers, right? Just to make sure that and by the way, this is called alias. If we won't give it, the query engine automatically assign a default column, which is not very useful, right? Just for a sake of understanding, let me take it out and I'll put it later, right? So you can see I'm calculating the sum of all the total records and how these total records are coming. I have the inner query that is counting the total by country, but we are excluding those customers where the age is greater than 75, right? So pretty straightforward query, and all I'm doing it in the outer query. Look, I didn't do any group by because I don't need to, or all I need to get this sum, right? And that sum we can store because the scalar value we can store in a variable and then process in the later part of our pipelines or the logic which we are building. Now let me run it. So you can see, first thing I want to show, because we haven't mentioned a column name or the alias, so it assign a random header or the column name to my data, right? And now you can see the value has been dropped from 11,000 to 10,143. Let me just add the proper header, and now if I run it, Yeah, we have the total customers which are reflecting the total customer who are more than who are less than 75 or equal to 75 years old, and they belong to different countries. So that's the concept of the nested statement. Again, I'll re-emphasize that imagine I'm working in the SQL environment purely, but my data is sitting in the S3 bucket, guys. I haven't actually imported my data. The data is still in the data lake, but I'm using it. I normally work with my SQL table, which is a very powerful concept. This data can be CSV, JSON, or Parquet or C format. Regardless of the format, we can use them the way we want to use it, right? So that's the concept of the nested query. Feel free to reach out if you have any question or you need further explanation. More than happy to answer. Otherwise, thanks for watching and stay tuned for the next CTE command.